While I was camping at French Creek State Park and exploring various parks in the region, I took a day off from traveling to visit Hopewell Furnace National Historic Site, which was right next door to camp. I've seen a lot of iron furnaces as I've explored old rail corridors. Many are almost in ruins, but although I've visited some that are intact, it's always been a bit difficult to picture how they were in operation. While the iron plantation of the 1700s is a far cry from operations at rail-served furnaces, the principles of how the furnace work are the same. It was fascinating to see such restored facilities and learn how it all worked. Both rural Pennsylvania community and iron plantation, Hopewell turned out products for a growing nation. The abundant forests, limestone, and iron ore in the region made it an excellent location for the growing iron industry. With the furnace as the focal point, the plantation contained everything for iron production, from charcoal hearths, a charcoal house, the cast house, and a blacksmith shop, as well as the necessities for daily life and keeping the community running, including housing, a schoolhouse, church, the company store, a barn for livestock, fields for crops, homestead gardens, spring house and smokehouse, and the iron master's mansion. The anthracite furnace was a failed attempt at hot blast technology. At hundreds of charcoal hearths, colliers turned 5,000 to 6,000 cords of wood a year into charcoal. Colliers built makeshift huts nearby in which they could stay while tending their hearths. This was around-the-clock activity in order to keep the furnace well fed. Teamsters dumped charcoal in the cooling shed before moving it to the charcoal house for storage. Fillers carted charcoal, limestone, and iron ore via the connecting shed to the bridge house. These were fed into the tunnel head at the top of the furnace. At the base of the furnace, the water wheel drove the blast machinery, which pumped air into the base of the furnace. You see the water flowing in to where the water wheel is. There's the water wheel. The water flowing in through the flume turns the wheel, which turns those cranks. And up top we have bellows. They push the air down these pipes. Pipes go right down in the bottom of the furnace, giving that oxygen to the fire. In the cast house surrounding the furnace stack, molders cast iron into stove plates and other products. When the iron in the furnace was ready, they would tap it and it would flow out, and they could transfer the iron to molds. They could also make pig iron, where they let it come out in the sand here and just make these bars. That's how they would cast things out of the iron, with sand packed into the boxes, making molds. And as the iron flowed out of the furnace, they would ladle it into the boxes. During my visit, a ranger showed us how to make a mold with sand in a box, and we made a hydrocal cast of a miniature stove front plate, similar to what they would have produced at the furnace back in the day. There's some examples of the bars of pig iron, and an example of a cannon. The blacksmith shop provided hardware and horseshoes and was an informal gathering place. Pig iron bars produced in the furnace could be heated up and wrought into various products, tools, and things needed on the plantation. Some workers with families rented company tenant houses. Single men boarded with them or in a boarding house across the road. Workers could purchase supplies and food at the office store. These purchases were charged against credits for work. They could also arrange for cash disbursements if needed. The barn sheltered up to 36 draft animals and held a year's worth of feed. In the spring house and smokehouse, maids stored and cured foods. The Iron Master's Mansion, built in 3 stages starting circa 1770 to 1800, was remodeled as late as 1870. Well, thanks for coming along. I certainly enjoyed exploring this National Historic Site, and if you're ever in the area, I highly recommend stopping by. It's free, and the National Park Service has a lot to offer as they preserve our natural resources and our national heritage.